It's 2 p.m. Pacific. It's Thursday. I'm Fred McMurray, which means this must be...
Pillars of franchising. Pillars of franchising.
People that do that on the videos I watch.
So, I'm Fred McMurray, and we're live, and everyone's talking. So, folks, we're live now. Thank you. People, so much time. So, Ray, so, Kristin, how are we doing today?
We're doing good.
Good. It's an absolutely gorgeous day here in Aurora, Illinois. And a few minutes ago, we were at 70 degrees, and right now it's 67. So I think it's going to get down to around 49, 50 degrees. But enjoying this gorgeous weather, sunshine, and beautiful fall colors. It's absolutely great out.
Well, I'm surprised you have fall colors because all mine happen to be in my yard. And, we have the same temperature about as you do. And I just got off the John Deere, which I need a John Deere hat. I think that's what I need for my tractor days.
Yeah.
But Roselle, Illinois is about the same. And all of our leaves primarily are on the ground. So before the show, I was out there power mulching. So we can get as much done before the weather turns on us again. How about you, Fred? How are you in sunny California?
I should have worn shorts. It's in the low to mid 80s, and it's sweaty, and it's been that way the last 2 days, and it's just kind of annoying. But what can I say? It's better than snow or sleet or rain or hail.
Yeah.
No,
rub it in.
Snow is good. Snert is not.
Right.
The problem is it starts out as snow, and then it becomes snert. Yeah, don't need that.
Yes, it starts. Yeah, it's pretty, and then it's not.
So we have our guests on right now, and they're looking at each other and saying, "What the hell is snert?"
That means they're not from here.
We are not from there. That is true.
Where are you from?
Well, why don't somebody introduce them first?
Yeah, Ray, that's your job. I forgot. See?
We welcome Mike and Laura Pierce, okay? And they are with the Network In Action franchise. Is that correct?
Well,
Yes. That's one of the things that we do.
yes, we have a lot of hats, and we're not wearing any, but we have a lot of hats that we wear.
Yeah, we'll talk about those. So right now, where are you at, and how is the weather?
Well, today's weather's high is expected to be around, 82 degrees and sunny.
Oh,
Tonight's low should be around 52 degrees.
Okay. So where are you at?
San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, we like San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've been there twice, right, Ray, for conventions. Nice place.
Yeah, for a convention, I spent boot camp there in the Air Force.
Okay.
So maybe not fond memories, I guess, of San Antonio.
Yeah, I do. At the conventions, at least. They were right on the Riverwalk. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah. Really
You like that Coyote Ugly bar, that's why.
So anyway, tell us about, one of the things that I'm intrigued with you guys is the fact that you've been a couple in business now for 20 years. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
20 long years.
And that is one of the things that I love to discuss because my wife and I started the business 18 years ago. Well, yeah, 18 years ago. She's since passed on, but that's another story. But I always liked the fact that she never wanted to be in the business when we started it. We studied it together. We, did all the research and everything and what to do. And we both agreed about what we should do. But she says, I'm not the management type. I don't want to be in the business, so I'll just work outside and you go ahead and do what you have to do. Well, it turned out that she lost her job through a series of circumstances, and she couldn't find another one. I says, well, come on, let's join the company. I tell you what, I was just absolutely thrilled. She just took over like she was doing this all her life. So yeah. And I think, Kristin, what is your story on that? And I know you and your husband work closely together in the business.
Yeah, so I need that T-shirt that says, I forget how it's phrased, but some people can't handle me. So my husband and I also went through the due diligence and had every intention of being in business together from the start. He's the MBA, he's more the finance guy and the numbers, and I'm the people person. So we thought, oh, this is going to be great. Well, we also had high hopes that would happen in the first 5 years. Well, we opened in 2007, so that didn't happen. And at this point, really after maybe the first 2 years, I said, I can't have you here. Like, I don't touch my things. Don't look in my computer. So he's been exiled for about 11 years now. So.
Wow.
Yeah. It's that's what happens if you have, in some ways, and perhaps with Mike and Laura, you can have personality traits or skill sets that complement one another. And then I think being married, sometimes those are just a bit too much to take from home into a 24/7 situation. And I think that's where I just couldn't take that much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So back to our guests.
Back to our guests. So you've been working closely with each other, and how do you complement each other, or?
Yes, the way we always look at it, we won't go see that, but the way we always look at it.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Oh, it's backwards, I guess.
But
Yeah.
But we all know Rebecca.
That's the way it should work. You know that? You do.
If you know Rebecca, you'll see Zoracle. And it turns out we make one complete person. Where he's strong, I'm weak. Where I'm weak, he's strong. And we're able to finish
each other's
sentences.
No. Work. Because the other person just gives up because they hate it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think learning early on that, just do what you enjoy doing and let the other person do it and don't meddle. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do kind of complete each other. It took us a while to kind of figure that out. Basically we got married, and within.
We're in Texas. Excuse the truck that just went by if you heard that.
We got married, and then right after that, pretty much within a year, we were going to be out of jobs. We knew that our work was, we were going to get laid off, and so we decided we wanted to work for ourselves. And so we started right away. We got married, and then
less than a year.
We had a business together, and we got into the home care business, which is a 24-hour a day business.
Mm-hmm.
That we were able to really grow that. But it is one of those things where it took us a little while, but we realized that we each had strengths and we each had weaknesses, and we were able to mesh those together. And we always refer to ourselves as team peers, because we always say we make one superhuman. Put us together, and we can accomplish just about anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
See, I always find. Go ahead.
It's good for couples to recognize whether they can work together or not.
Yeah.
Do I save the marriage or do I save the business?
Yeah.
And it really comes down to communication too, because fortunately for us early on, we didn't have a real big issue. We were able to mesh pretty well. But once we actually started realizing, and we actually did a disc profile and realized our personalities. And once we also realized how we could communicate better based on that changed a lot of things too. One of the things is I'm the type of person, I have to ask a lot of questions. It's like, if you want to do something, I'm going to ask you probably 20 or 30 questions till I get to the point where I fully understand and I'm fully behind what you're doing. And Laura's the type of person that you tell her you want to do something, she just goes off and does it. And she doesn't want to hear questions.
Right.
So I ask questions, she gets mad. I just have to, I realize that, okay, I have to limit my number of questions.
Make them smart and make them good.
Exactly.
Yes.
So once you kind of realize those kind of things and understand how to better communicate, I think that adds a lot to it as well.
I may have an issue with patience. That might be the problem. But like you, Laura, I'm the same way. I get like super defensive. Like, why are you asking me these questions? I don't need all these questions. We just need to do it, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, and then there's the other thing. Mike's good with people. I'm good with things. So, you know, if something needs to get done quickly, yes, put me on it. If there's a HR concern, I mean, when you're in home care, you have, you know, we finished with about 120 employees, plus we owned a spa at the same time. Yeah, whenever there was a problem, you know, technical, I'd fix it. If it was, you know, people oriented, Mike did it. He was really good at training. So, yeah, as long as we stay in our own lane, we do pretty well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I find having a hammer with thunderbolt really helps when working with the spouse.
And you two are very different also, Fred.
Well, that's just me, myself, and I, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
The fact that you can hit them from across the room and be out of arm range or a hand range really, really helps. Of course, once you've shot the thunderbolt, you're kind of screwed, but, you know, never mind.
Yeah,
Go-
pick your moments.
Yeah.
Or pick your battles. Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ray.
So tell us, what businesses, maybe start from the beginning if you want. What businesses did you start with?
Oh, well, I started back with a comic book and seeds.
Oh.
I was not a very good seeds salesman when I was in about second grade. So I switched to the greeting card business on the back of the comic book. Wasn't successful there either. So I thought maybe I needed to grow up a little bit to get a little bit more, I guess, street credibility. So then my next business after that was sandwich delivery. And that's where I learned about cost of goods sold. I took all the food out of the refrigerator and sold it. I was very successful. Had my own little food wagon. And then when my parents came home, they were quite upset with me, not recognizing that I had true entrepreneurial spirit. And I had to give them every single dime I earned. So after that, I waited a few more years after that.
You did Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, I did do Girl Scout cookies, but I mean, that's not business for yourself, but I used to always be on the front page. And then let's see, let's go up to Comfort Keepers. That was our first business that we bought. We thought senior home care was perfect. I had a grandmother I took care of, and we really enjoy working with seniors. We're looking to move to Florida so we can be surrounded by seniors. We just really enjoy them. We're back in home care again right now. But we can talk about that in a little bit. And then we, you know, started a spa from scratch. Went into senior fitness after we sold our business. Did that for a couple years. That was another franchise. And now we have Network In Action. And now we work for a franchisor. So we've done a lot in 20 years.
You kind of jumped around a little bit too, right? I mean, you go from senior care into a spa business. What brought those two kind of from one to leap to the other? How did those tie together for you?
Well, a lot of it really was being in that senior industry. You also see that the more you take care of yourself early on, the better kind of your end of life is going to be. I mean, we were learning that pretty quickly. And again, like anybody else, you enjoy getting a massage. You go to, when you go on vacation, you get massages, and so it was also more of a wellness spa too. So not only are we doing massages, but we're also looking at that wellness aspect. So we wanted to kind of take that wellness to get it out to more and more people, and really get them to get a better, healthy lifestyle, just knowing what was coming down the road as you get older. So
we did acupuncture too.
Yeah, and it was something that we did. We had acupuncture as well. So it was more of a wellness type spa, but it was also driven by the fact we wanted people to take care of themselves now so that it wouldn't be so hard later on in life.
So you then made the transition with all these different franchises and things. We're all now, one of them you said, I think your spa was a startup, right? And now the one, was it one or two were franchises?
3 of them.
Yeah, 3 different franchises that we've had.
Okay.
So
And
Yeah, we're also not good about timing, but we can talk about that a little bit later.
yeah, because one of the questions is when is the right time to start a business, and there is never a right time. We'll tell you our experiences with opening businesses.
So yeah, just a very very interesting parallel to misery and economy in our business openings.
Sure. Yeah, I've experienced that as well. You feel like you throw it all out there and then, wow, it's very nerve-wracking.
Well, one of the nice things about being in a franchise, though, when there are downturns in the economy or in the thing we're in now, you have other people to rely on to, ask questions about, well, what do I do now? All my employees are not showing up to work. What do I do now?
There's a strong support system out there that you don't necessarily get if you have a business on your own.
Yeah. And of course, if you go in as a couple, now you can rely on each other. That like you said before, one has a strength and the other one has a different strength, and you can complement the outcome on a lot of things.
Or you commiserate together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, laying there at 2 a.m. saying, I'm so sorry.
Now, my wife and I had an agreement and that is, when I started the business, I said, when I get home, I don't want to talk about it. And we carried that on when she joined the business. And that seemed to help a lot, because obviously we talked a lot while we were at work. And she wanted to know a lot about the business before she went into it, but I didn't want to talk about it. But how about you guys? Do you talk? Obviously you probably talk at work, but when you get home, do you say, okay?
Well, we work from home.
Yes, and it pretty much never stops. I mean, it really.
We come up with fantastic ideas.
Yeah, we're always coming up with good ideas and everything, and so even when we go on vacation, vacation usually ends up talking about work and everything. So I mean, that is one thing. Is our conversations tend to always kind of revolve around work. I mean, we do other things, and we get involved in other types of things, but it's like a lot of the time really is we don't really shut anything off at any time. Any time one of us could come up with a great idea, and it's like we have to share that, we have to do something with it.
So I know that you guys had a professional jobs before you went into this together. For us, I mean, the one big thing was healthcare at the time, right? And that steady paycheck. So I have to assume that it was a huge leap of faith for you to both leave corporate jobs and dive right into it.
No.
Not really.
No? Okay.
This was back in 2000. So
I mean, we both left paying about 150, 175,000 a piece jobs back in 2000.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were making very good money, but I mean, how many times can you get bought and sold in a corporate life? And been able to buy insurance here. If anybody has any, news shattering bumper music, you've been able to buy insurance since, I don't know, or before 2000. You have an insurance agent, and then you pay for it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, there's really, I mean, things didn't start getting dicey until they decided to change things and quote unquote make them better, and they didn't.
Right.
So if you fast forward to today, the problems back then were no problems. The problems today are very different. In that, there isn't anything, there's no such thing as affordable health care anymore. It's been blown up, and it's a problem, and they need to, we need competition. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's unaffordable healthcare.
Exactly. Yeah, it is a struggle for us today. When we started out, not one bit.
Yeah, it wasn't really a concern. I mean, it was also more of, okay, we want to go out and do this. We we don't want to be on the corporate grind anymore. And it was just kind of that opportunity. It's kind of like, it was just kind of the kick in the pants to say, okay, you need to go do this.
Okay.
So yeah, for us, we jumped into it, and yeah, we were kind of a little nervous in getting started, but I mean, that's what we tell people too, because we also, work with people in helping them trying to find businesses and everything. It's like, if you're not scared when you start a business, then because
That's true.
Yeah.
that's just as natural.
Yeah.
So,
Fred wants to break into a commercial. So when we come back, let's talk about what advice you would give people who are thinking of doing what you're doing.
and I'll make the comment. So people are surprised that the government gets involved in stuff they have no clue about, and then they screw it up, and that's a surprise. All right.
Surprise!
All right.
Well, you heard it first here.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll go to a commercial, but we want to give a shout out to our friends at FeedSpot. Why, Ray? Why do we want to give a shout out?
They rated us #1.
They
Number
rated us
one.
#1 in the top 20 franchise podcasts that you must follow in 2020. So if FeedSpot's got it right, you should be listening. And now, a word from a sponsor.
Hey, franchise owners, how's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new move-ins to your local area? At Westvyne, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, and ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who need an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westvyne.com. That's 805-265-5440 or westvyne.com.
Thanks, Michelle. And we're back. Ray, continue onwards with your question.
So I think there's probably a good segment of our audience who are thinking, do I want to do this with my spouse, or, how should we do that? And I was hoping you could give us some advice on, how they should answer that question for themselves.
Go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
I'll go first. One thing is that what people don't realize is nobody's going to pay you for your job when you leave. When you have your own business, especially a franchise, you're building an asset.
Mm-hmm.
So, unless you're lucky enough that somebody's going to say, well, Joe, when you leave your job, I'm gonna pay you, a couple $1 million, which doesn't happen.
Unless you're a CEO and they give you
you can get the golden parachute. Yeah.
Out, but that doesn't happen to everyday Joes.
Yeah. So, if you're interested in building an asset, and it's an amazing adventure. You wouldn't be in 3 different systems, start a franchise from the start, and, be in franchising for 20 years if you didn't find it fun, exciting, and rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And what were you going to say?
No, but it does take the right person to be able to do that. They have to be willing to take a chance and
Risk.
be really willing to take that risk. And the other thing too is, if you want to work with your spouse, sometimes people think, oh yeah, it'll be easy to work with my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And, for a lot of people, it's just not that easy.
Right.
You really have to think about that. You have to think if that is going to be a good move. And of course, what Laura showed you earlier, that you couldn't really see it too well.
I should have put it backwards.
Yeah, but it is one of those things where, and again, if you're familiar with Zoracle and what Rebecca Monet does, is that, if you look at where your strengths are, you could probably see where you may have some difficulties. And if that doesn't mesh up real well right from the beginning, you may want to rethink what if you want to go into business with your spouse. But it is one of those things. You have to be willing to take the risk. There is reward at the end. Having a franchise gives you the system to be successful. So it is one. It's some soul searching.
Yeah, absolutely.
The amount of money you have available to you is definitely a factor, because in my case, my wife's paycheck actually went towards payroll quite a few weeks.
True.
When we were starting out. So, and if you're not willing to do that, if you're willing to, you have to make sacrifices. I like what you said just before the commercial. If you're not scared, there's something wrong.
Run away!
I was plenty scared, that's for sure.
How long do you think, in your situation, it sounds like you guys did a lot of research, but it wasn't all smooth working together. For people who say, we've done this, we think we want to work together, maybe I got impatient too quickly. That would not be unlike me. But it sounds like, it wasn't all smooth sailing, right? I mean, it took some time to figure out, as you said, Mike, I learned to not ask so many questions. I learned more about how she likes to go and do, and I'm more the analytical. I mean, clearly you didn't know that from day one completely, right?
Sure, we did not. And again, it took some time. I mean, we didn't really have any major problems, but we just knew that there was something why a lot of times we just kind of clash on stuff. But once we kind of became more aware of our personality profiles, so to speak, it was, it just made it a little bit easier.
And do you guys have kids too?
No.
Okay.
And I mean, the other thing is that we didn't know any better. We were married, about 9-10 months.
Okay.
We opened our doors. We started our business probably went to training and everything about, I'd say 6 to 8 months after we were married. So, I mean, we're stupid. We didn't know. We're still in that honeymoon phase.
Sure.
That's an advantage. Being stupid is an advantage.
Yeah, you grew up in it together, basically, right? I mean, that's just how it was. So now that you've been in it for a while, and obviously I want to talk a little bit about your newest adventure here, but tell me, do you feel like you were able to find a good work-life balance with both of you being in it? Because it sounds like on vacations you're talking about it, at night at home having a glass of wine you're talking about it. How do you feel when it comes to work-life balance?
Well, I mean, when we started, it was I would say it was almost 3 years. It was 3 years before we really took a vacation and really took any time off. I mean, it was a lot of work getting it started. And, once we got to that point where we took that vacation, and again, at that point, you kind of give yourself permission to take some time off. We built up a little bit of an infrastructure and everything. But, once we got to that point, it was easier for us to have that work-life balance. We were usually taking a vacation pretty much every year. We would try to really work through the holidays to give our staff, the holidays off, and then kind of on those off holidays is when we would take our trips. I mean, although the one trip we took, we snuck away. It was actually over Thanksgiving, and of course, at the time we lived in the DC area, so we basically went to Iceland, over Thanksgiving. And,
wow.
It was just a quick 4-day trip, but we went up to Iceland, spent some time up there, and even from there, I logged in and I did payroll. It was like that Friday, I got everything done, finished up payroll because I could do that remotely. But so it took us a little time to get things going, but we tended to be able to try to smooth things out. But we would always take vacations every year, make sure that we had some time away.
Good. Yeah, I think that's really important.
It is. But as I'm sure you might agree, as an individual, a business owner, your mind does not stop. It's constantly going. And that's what I think my fiance is going to have to learn, because out of the clear blue sky, I'll start talking about something about the business, and she doesn't know that as an entrepreneur, your mind, you see something on TV or you pick up a magazine or something and you see something, and your mind starts going into the business mode.
Well, the other thing too is you go out anywhere, and if you're at a store, a restaurant, whatever, and you see something that's kind of broken, and you're like, why are these people not doing this? Why,
Yeah.
this is the way you should be doing it. If you want good customer service, you should be doing that. And you just kind of want to go over and, work with the people and say, hey, by the way, maybe you should try this. Maybe you should do this. I mean, you're always trying to improve and fix things. At least that's the way we are. We always have that.
Yeah. You can't give it up.
Yes.
So what's this latest adventure that you folks are in now? Tell us a little bit about your current situation.
Well, currently we have Network in Action. And again, with all the work that we've done and really trying to also help people in getting businesses and everything and trying to build networks. Network in Action came about because it's basically business networking. So you're bringing business people together, helping them grow their businesses through networking and providing them some additional really resources, because that networking industry really has not changed in I don't know how many years, probably 20, 30 years. It's still, passing paper leads back and forth or passing business cards, where this is actually, it's a technology backbone. You're able to pass the leads in real time, right from your smartphone. You can really run the business from your smartphone for that matter, because everything is right there. So the idea is we have these groups of people, bring them together, help them be able to pass referrals, be able to grow their businesses. And there can be a component to that where we're doing coaching. And, we enjoy helping other people and sharing our experiences and helping them be able to grow their businesses. So it's a great opportunity. Unfortunately for us, if we come back to, starting a business, we were scheduled, because we had just bought the business and we actually had just moved to San Antonio. And in February, we were supposed to have our first meeting, and the week before is when the city shut down from COVID. So here we have a in-person meeting concept in which people cannot meet in person. But again, that's where having a franchise is great, because they easily pivoted around to doing the virtual meetings and providing that. And because we had this technology backbone already, we were really first to the market in being able to do that for these networking meetings. So it was really a great opportunity. And again, it's the virtues of having a franchise, because if you didn't have a franchise, you were kind of out of luck at that point.
Yeah.
That's what I always found interesting when I go to these networking meetings, and I don't go as much anymore as I did when it was new, but a lot of times I was one of the only franchisees in there. And so there are a lot of people who are trying to do it now, with the exception, of course, there's always your realtors who are independent but under a brand, and I don't really know what they're considered to be there, but it was really interesting because the things I had to talk about were a little bit different, because they didn't have anybody to kind of soul search with. And I would be like, oh gosh, yeah, I call up Ray, or I call up Dick, or I talk to them about what's going on. And so when you do these networking groups, whether it be on Zoom or however you do it, do you find more franchisees, or do you find more like independent entrepreneurs?
Well, because of COVID, we really haven't been able to start it up, but I'd say we do have a good mix of some franchisees that we were able to bring in virtually. So, and then the realtors, the insurance agents, kind of like those stock people that come to those meetings.
Right. Yeah. And we do try to focus on these as well, because, again, they're a lot of them are new to owning a business. And, they need to be able to get out there and make those connections. And, the franchisor can't hold their hand and take them out to places and tell them, okay, you got to go do this, got to go do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's their business. They're independently owned and operated, so they need to be aggressive in what they do. So we really try to reach out to those franchisees as well and try to get them to be involved.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. I think they're, because the franchises already have a great networking within themselves, and then they need to expand that. So I think this is something that would really work well.
Yes.
Well, it does, because you're more likely to close business from a personal referral than you are from any of your other efforts that you have out there in marketing. So we heard a story of a person just got an $80,000 deal. Mm-hmm. So and it was through Network in Action. So it's certainly is a great way to do it. What Mike also didn't mention is that we only meet once a month as opposed to weekly, so the time commitment is far lower.
Yeah.
You know, we're able to get the business owners in as opposed to the marketing person, or I call them the marketing person du jour because they never stick around.
Yes.
So, you know, you're able to get that stability in the group, and you're dealing with professionals, so you can have that, you know, camaraderie and be able to, you know, to have the same problems. Because I mean, we all have the same problems. It's people, money, and leads.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
And so your Network in Action, you said, is a franchise.
Correct.
It is a franchise.
Okay. Excellent. And how many units do they have across the U.S.? Do you have any idea of ballpark?
Ballpark, I want to say there are,
Probably about 50 groups.
yeah, there's
Okay.
quite more groups than that. I think we're at about 15, 16 states now. They've actually been growing during COVID, which has been pretty impressive, but I think they're probably up to at least 15 states. I want to say there are about 30 to 40 franchise owners, and I think there's, you know, usually they have about 2 to 3 groups each.
Okay.
So it is growing very quickly.
Awesome. Well, people need a way to still communicate and get their names and businesses out there. That's for sure.
Yep.
Exactly.
I'm still grinding on the marketing du jour comment, marketing person du jour comment.
Well,
What-
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, Fred.
we were never successful in hiring marketing people in home care. It just never happened. I mean, we can tell you horror stories of you know, unscrupulous marketing people that, you know, said they were someplace and they clearly weren't. We have to thank the Nextel/Sprint system for our, I guess, geo tracing people, because that's how we found out that these people weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing.
I'm still grinding on it. It's been what, 9 years for you, Ray?
So yeah, I hired Fred. How long ago?
About 9 years, yeah.
9 years ago, and yeah, he does my marketing, and
One wife ago.
yeah, one mic.
Oh.
And we've become friends.
Well, there's always exceptions to the rules.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll accept that. Go ahead, Ray.
But I think it was the first in-person meeting with Fred, and we were separating our ways, and he says, "Okay, bye. We'll see you later." And then a few minutes later, he walks in. I said, "What's wrong, Fred?
Second meeting.
Is this a second meeting?"
Yeah.
And he says, "I locked my keys in my car."
That's Fred.
The first time it was, "You're not going to sell me Twitter, are you?" And I laughed and said, "No, but you know you got some negative Google reviews." And Ray's response was, "I have Google reviews?" And I said, "Yeah, and some of them are negative." And he said, "I have Google reviews?" It's like, okay, at least I know where we're at.
Yeah. So that relationship has blossomed, especially recently. We see each other at least once a week.
Now, Team
No,
Pierce, do you
twice.
still, I just want to go back. So this particular franchise you're working on is in the making, so to speak, because of COVID. And you still have another active franchise at this point? Another active business?
Actually, we're working for a franchise now.
Okay.
And we're helping them, it's in home care, and we're helping them to onboard their new franchisees. So Team Pierce is out there helping new franchisees. We actually, today, the first, we just started, 2 months ago? And our first one that opened up just got their first client today, so we're excited.
Awesome.
And another one that we opened, because we've opened 2 in the last 2 months, and their opening dates on the 15th of this month, just hired, or they're getting ready to hire their first caregivers. So, you know, there's a lot of excitement there. We're proud. And we know that they're going to get the phone calls, not us. So there's a lot of happiness and jubilation along with that. Because home care it's a tough game. It's 24/7, but it is probably one of the most rewarding franchises that we ever owned, and we're excited to be part of this emerging brand.
Sure. Well,
I didn't hear the name of the brand again. Can you?
Oh, we never said it. We didn't know if we would bleep it or say, "Oh, you can't mention it," because we were here for another company. But it's Talon Home Care and Placement Services.
Oh, okay. So it's a placement services for home care.
Well, it is home care, and then in addition to that, we do placements for seniors. So if somebody is looking to maybe move into assisted living, maybe a good independent living referral, we're able to help guide the family to do that, rather than having 50 marketing du jour people calling them up from 10, 15 different communities. We basically go in there, have the relationships, and kind of cut to the chase, show them what's good, what's bad. Let them make their decision, and they're able to make a quicker decision as well of where to place their loved ones. Mm-hmm. And then home care is at the heart of what we do. We're kind of unique in that we're a care for all company. A lot of franchisors kind of stay away from Medicaid. We can help the franchisees get into Medicaid and be able to serve those underserved areas because they deserve good care too.
Absolutely.
That kind of touched our hearts when we started talking to the founder. That it really everybody should have access to good quality in-home care.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Boy, after a 24/7 business, heavily tugging at your heartstrings, and now you're going to go into networking. Hopefully, the networking part will give you a little more freedom from that 24/7 tug and pull all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and that's certainly the idea. Plus, just being able to help people share our experiences and kind of work with them and growing their business. Because that's the other thing we also like to focus on in the networking is getting some of those businesses that are early on.
Right.
Because they need the help in being able to grow, and that's what we like to be able to do.
Awesome. So are you finding that you're using Zoom as I know you said it's much more technology driven, say, than like a BNI or any of these other networking groups. So what are some of the other differences that you are offering?
Well, again, doing those Zoom meetings, again, that's where we're able to pivot really quickly and be able to do those types of things. And, as far as kind of differences go, again, the backbone that we have, it's kind of, they think of a cross between Facebook and LinkedIn. Basically, when we bring on a member into our group, we're going to do a profile page, and then we also will do a video. And that video is their 30-second pitch. Because normally when you go to a networking meeting, it's everybody getting up there telling their 30-second pitch, and
that's so boring.
After you've heard it 3 or 4 times, what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
And there's just not a lot of time to really network and get to know people because they've all done their pitch. And you just hope that somebody hears your pitch and says, "Oh yeah, I could use that."
Right.
And so that's where with us doing it only once a month, we're spending more time and getting to know them. But having that technology, the videos up there, we also do interview videos that we post as well, so you can have those questions and answers. And plus, with the profile page, it shows you everything about the person. So when that referral is made, it's more of a warm referral that is out there than just here's a card, call Joe, and he can help you.
Yeah.
So those are again a little bit of the differences that we have, and what really gives us that ability to help businesses grow more quickly.
That's awesome. I always thought that the networking meetings really needed to be more productive.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily need to go somewhere and pay $25 for lunch to see the same faces and hear the same information week after week after week. So that's good.
One of our meetings is different. I mean, we
interactive games.
Interactive games. I mean, every meeting is different. So you never come to a meeting and you get the same thing. Plus, we're not doing those 30-second pitches every time. We're doing activities to get to really build deeper relationships with everybody.
Awesome.
Really
That's
good.
great.
Yeah. So one of the questions I like to ask anybody who's been in business for a while is, do you have a memorable experience, something that happened either negatively or funny or positively, or what comes to mind immediately when someone asks a question like that?
There's a lot of them.
I say, when you're starting out in home care, you're sometimes finding yourself doing the hours in the beginning. So one of my favorite ones is this woman she was deaf. I mean, just deaf. And we're in a restaurant and, she's yelling, "What did you say?" Everybody's hearing it. So I'm like slowly crouching down And, it's time to, the waiter comes in and asks, would you care for dessert? And then she takes her fork and knife and bangs it on the table and goes, bring on the strawberries. Strawberry shortcake. So I was like, and she didn't say it once, she said it several times. So I'm sitting there kind of going,
digging a hole.
I've got to remember that one. Bring on the strawberries.
yeah, she really liked it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to put my fork near that one. I mean, I'll share it with you. It's like, nah, I think you
No
want,
thanks.
That's right.
yeah, you want them strawberries. And she was cute.
What kind of business was she in? Or
Oh, she was a client in home care.
oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
client at home care. Okay.
Yeah, her doctor said she needed to put on weight. She was a recent widow, and she said, "Well, let's go out for lunch." And I said, "Okay, we can go out for lunch." And so we went to this restaurant, and couldn't hear anything else, but heard
She heard dessert. She knew.
strawberry shortcake. Boy, she woke up.
That's awesome.
But yeah, certainly from home care, it's like we have all these great memories and great stories. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, we could write a book about this.
Oh, sure.
And then, just from a business perspective, there's a lot of great business stuff. But probably, again, when we sold our home care business, I mean, that was probably, it was a great educational process too. But, that's also ranks up there. It's like we had built this. And again, like we said, you're building an asset. And for us, it was an opportunity. We had to move out of the DC area to move closer to my parents to help take care of them. And we had an asset, and we went through the process of selling that. And it was a great feeling to be able to have that and know that all of our work that went into that it paid off.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Looks like we have to take another commercial break, Ray.
Oh, okay.
Gotta pay the bills somehow.
Yeah, pay them.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to keep the electricity going.
That's
Yeah.
right. I'm anxious to talk to you about that whole selling and transition process too, when we come back.
Okay.
And away we go.
The Franchise Woman is a bi-monthly digital magazine that empowers women as they navigate the franchising industry by providing relevant news, tools, advice, and inspiration. We are a resource for women who are seeking to own their own businesses, improve their existing businesses, find creative solutions, and take advantage of franchise opportunities. We feature women in the business who best exemplify our ideals and have something to teach our readers. In addition to our exclusive articles relating to the female entrepreneur, we also feature brands that are geared for women. Women have become the fastest growing sector in business ownership and have become a powerful, influenceable force fueling the economy. The Franchise Woman will give you the news that is relevant to you to help you navigate the path of successful franchise ownership. By women, for women, and about women. We are the Franchise Woman. Join us today at www.thefranchisewoman.com.
And I'll give a shout out to Elizabeth. They just had their November issue published. It's on work-life balance, and allegedly there's an article in there from a rogue male. What rogue male do we know? But so go ahead, Kristin. You had a question? Take it away.
I think you define rogue actually. You're the first one I thought of. So anyways, I want to ask the question. I'm kind of one of those begin with the end in mind people, and because you guys have transitioned between businesses and things, it sounds like the last transition out of home care was due to elderly parents. Is that right? Am I correct on that?
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
and ironic that we were in home care.
Right.
And they listened to us.
So good question. What made you not pursue that same franchise model where you were moving to? Was that territory already taken, or?
It was too small of a city or / town, so
Okay.
it wasn't economically viable to do that.
Uh-huh.
Plus, we wanted to spend time with his parents. When you're operating a home care company, you don't get that.
Right.
So, we were busy managing caregivers and being able to spend some really good quality time with his parents.
Okay. So do you guys, I know Ray has his exit strategy ready to go, and I don't really have an exit strategy yet. But do you guys have kind of an exit strategy the next 10, 15, 5, whatever years down the road?
Well, funny you should ask. Well, I mean, since we're now working for this franchisor full time, we're not able to, totally devote the time that we need to our networking business. So either we're going to find somebody to, maybe any B&I people in San Antonio who would like to partner with us and make more money. We would, be willing to look for a partnership with that person, or, we're looking to sell the business. It's in its infancy. Otherwise, I'm not sure, we always say, you have to know what it looks like when it's done. And, it's certainly not what we had anticipated, but, we thought that working with Talon Home Care was it was an opportunity that we couldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we've been out of our home care, and it was something we really enjoyed doing, and it really wasn't on our radar, but, due to COVID and due to everything that kind of took place, it was an opportunity that came to us, and it gives us an opportunity to get back into home care, and as well on the franchise side, because that's what was important. And it's a great opportunity.
Franchisor side.
And, the franchisor side, but it's a great opportunity to continue to kind of build on, what we had done and kind of bring our expertise to that as well. So yeah, our exit strategy kind of got blown up when COVID hit.
Yeah, as it did with everyone, right? I mean,
we did have our plan set up that, okay, we're coming to San Antonio, we're going to have this business, and we knew that this is what it was going to look like. We had pretty much a 5-year plan as to what it was going to look like and what we were going to be doing. And then it just evaporated pretty quick. So
yeah. Well, we talk a lot with people on the show about really being able to be flexible and adapting. And I think that you guys are a great example of, whether it's the family thing or whether it's, I'm watching Fred dance, or it's the COVID thing. I mean, you've really had to kind of step back and make a shift. And I think that's really important for anyone thinking about getting into business, whether it's a franchise or whether it's just, straight up startup business.
Yeah. That's one of the things that people need to know is that if you're in business for yourself, you've got to learn to shift gears on the fly.
Well, yeah, and kind of coming back, we talked about when we start businesses. Well, we'll go back to when we started with Comfort Keepers. We pretty much finished up, and it was 2001, end of August is when we opened up our doors. And again, we lived in Virginia, in the DC area, so not too far from the Pentagon. Well, guess what? We open up our doors, 9/11 happens.
Oh, yeah.
And so here we are sitting on the couch, saying, "Oh my gosh, we just bought a business. This is, and we're just, it's like, what are we gonna do?" And again, it was one of those things. Okay, well, we just need to suck it up. We need to keep going. And it was great. We were able to build that business and a multi-million-dollar business, be able to sell that.
But then we thought we were smart. What happened in 2007?
Yeah, so and then when we decided we wanted to start our spa, we opened that up and had invested in that heavily. And the first year was really good because that December, we had, because we were doing gift cards, we had a great year. Well, right after December.
Well, we did $50,000 in gift cards our first December.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so, we're like, okay, this is going well. We had a great plan for this. Well, right after that is when the financial crisis hit. Everything, just blows up. And so we had to pivot on with that business as well. Because that following year, I think we sold maybe $4,000 in gift cards. So, yeah. So we made that change. And then, and then of course we have Network In Action where we open up and COVID hits.
Yeah.
So our history of having a business and starting usually is not so good, but
so ask us when we're starting our next business, and we will let you know when the next crisis will happen.
There'll be another crisis.
Well, you definitely have perseverance, and I think that's super, super important for anybody who's going into any kind of business.
Yep.
So
stick it out. Stick with it. Yep. So I think Fred is giving me a funny look, like he wants to ask a certain question.
Oh, go right ahead. We'll give you a
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So normally today we would ask a rabbit hole question. However, this week it seems like the whole damn country's gone down the rabbit hole. And so since I am basically a anti-authoritarian person who will just for the pure spite go the opposite way, no rabbit hole question today. Instead, we'll ask the question that's been well on my mind of one of the problems with COVID-19 is the fact that I don't get to travel, which means I can't hop in my car and drive actually to see Ray and Kristin in Chicago, but more importantly to see my grandkids. And it annoyed the living crap out of me to have to participate in my granddaughter's 3rd birthday last month via Zoom. Better than nothing, but not the same as picking her up, tickling her, and kissing and hugging her and making her giggle. So, a normal question, which, like I said, we're not going down the rabbit hole because everyone else is down there and I hate crowds, is what advice would you give to A, my 3-year-old granddaughter, that's for Laura, and B, for Mike, what advice would you give my 1-year-old grandson for being successful in life?
Start your own business.
Yeah, well,
My grandmother told me to do that. She said, well, you know, if you want to, because she had her own business, she had an insurance agency, and she said, you know, you're never going to get anywhere unless you are your own boss.
Yep.
Yeah, well, she's getting my spot here. She takes my chunk of Westvyne, and my grandson takes my chunk of Pillars of Franchising, because the show will still be on by that point in time, maybe 25 years, and it may be with Ray's grandkids and Kristin's grandkids, but the show will still be going. Mike, you're up.
I think that's I really think, first of all, I have to say really quickly, Fred, that I think it's awesome that your grandmother gave you that advice. Mm-hmm. Very progressive.
Oh, yeah. She did. She was a widower. My dad was 9 years old, and she realized that she needed to, to just take charge of things. And, the little secret is that her father was not her father. Yeah, I guess it was her father was the freeholder in New Jersey. And had a lot of really good connections. So
it helped.
A lot of instant leads, but she still had to manage that business, go after a lot of, insurance contracts. She did very well. And, it's, it was probably the best advice she ever gave me.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mike.
No, she's fine.
So I guess, my advice would be learn to throw left-handed, because it's easier to get into the major leagues if you're a left-handed pitcher.
Problem with that advice is he'd be a Cubs fan because, well...
Yeah. What other fan is there?
Then he'd have a better chance of making the team if he goes out for the Cubs.
Yeah, the team that took over 100 years to win a World Series. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah, but we're the friendly confines, right? I mean, there's so much more warmth to the Cubs team.
There is?
I think.
All right, that's it. We're going down.
Now, my brother played for the Cardinals, so we have that argument all the time, right?
All right, Ray, I think we've had a very interesting non-rabbit hole question. So take your last question out.
Well, I think our audience is interested in, we have a lot of people listening all the time, and I think they're interested in maybe thinking, well, what if I want to work with my spouse? Or what if I want to, I'm interested in a business that you are in now. How would they get a hold of you, just to maybe discuss that?
Well, they can connect with us through LinkedIn. I think you all have our LinkedIn profiles up there, so we'll be happy to connect.
And we can sort of give out our cell phone number. I mean, if they want to call us, the cell phone number is 571-233-1935.
Again.
571-233-1935.
One of these times when people read that off, I'm going to like quickly dial it just so you hear the phone ring right away.
But we put it in the other room
so we can't hear it.
It wouldn't be interrupted.
Awesome.
All right. It's been another interesting and semi-weird show. Thanks to Mike and Laura Pierce and my awesome mentors, friends, and co-hosts, Ray and Kristin. We'll be back next week with probably a weirder episode because we seem to get progressively weirder, which I guess that's kind of by design. You'd kind of think with the personalities involved. So
all our shows are weird. All our shows are weird. Not the guests, just the show.
Amen to that.
I mean, we did have some good rabbit hole answers, so we're quite disappointed that we did not get to do our answers.
Sorry, it just the whole place is down the rabbit hole, and I can't stand crowds. So we'll be back.
Need closure.
No, I just don't like crowds. We'll be back next week on. Whoa, not there. There.
Great job.
Enjoyed it.
So nice having you.